It's an active, gloomy, and humid morning here at the range. It's going to rain in a couple hours, but I wanted to record a video overview / review of the MDT ACC Elite chassis. The ACC is the flagship chassis system from MDT. It's been out for several years now. I've always wanted to get one, but I've never really had the need for one. I run Masterpiece Arms chassis, and while I really want to try one of the ACCs out, I never bought one. Then in 2023, just before SHOT Show 2023, they announced the ACC Elite, which is their latest revision of the ACC chassis line. And they bumped down the original MDT ACC to the ACC Premier. This one's the Elite. When I saw the ACC Elite, I thought, hey, that looks really good. I like their feature set, but I really didn't need to get one, so I still never bought one. These have been out for about almost a year now because they released in summer of 2023, I think. Then I saw Brownells had a sale. Brownells were selling the MDT ACC Elite chassis for lower than MSRP, but then they had a sale price or a sale coupon, which you could stack on top of that. And it was a really good price. So when I carted the chassis and I saw the price, I said, hey, that's really good. I can't pass this up, so I bought one. So that is why I now have the MDT ACC Elite in flat dark earth. Let's quickly dive into this kind of the specs and the feature set here. It's a 6.1 pound chassis. Got a minimum length of pull of 12.25. I think it goes out to 14 inches and beyond. Fully adjustable buttstock. You can adjust the cheek riser, length of pull, as well as the butt plate can go up and down. Adjustable grip, you can move it fore and aft. Thumb shelf, detachable, and it can go on either side, left or right. Adjustable magazine release. We have the 19-inch forend, which I believe is measured from the front of that barricade stop to the muzzle end. M-lock slots along that forend, front to back. Attachment points here for some accessories by MDT. Also, that's an M-lock slot here. I forgot there's an M-lock slot in the bottom of the butt stock. You also have full-length Arca rail with Really Right Stuff lock. RRS lock, they used to call it R-lock. If you don't know what that is, it's basically a feature they put in their clamps so that you have this kind of recoil lug so it doesn't slide. And if you don't know what that is, if you still don't understand what I'm talking about, I can put a link in the video description to a Really Right Stuff lock. Then you also supports interior weights. You really can't see them in the video, but I do have 3 interior weights on the inside the barrel channel. And then I do have these optional accessories. These are the control bridges, which we'll talk about those in a few moments. And I think that's kind of it as far as feature set. It's a pretty good chassis as far as what you're getting here. But let's dive into why I wanted to try this chassis out. And I have my Voodoo Gen 1.2 with a 20-inch Bartling barrel MTU contour. When I had it in my MPABA comp, it never balanced very well or to my liking. I wanted to balance at the front of the magwell, but I could never get enough weight on the front so that it could balance well. And the reason being is you have like a 15-inch or shorter forend on the Masterpiece Arms BA comp. Now, if you understand how to balance a rifle, all the weight's going to be on the action, right? The action sits right above the magwell. Then the rest of that weight's on the buttstock because that's kind of the heavier spot here. Then you got your scope sitting on top of the action. So all that weight is kind of rear of the balance point that I want it to be at. You can add weights, but there's only so much weight you could put on there. And that weight has less effect because with a shorter forend, even if you put lots of weights here, the fulcrum point is just so short. So the reason why I wanted this ACC Elite with this longer forend is the fact that you got this 19-inch forend. I can put weights on the farthest point, and that creates more of a fulcrum point so that these weights have more effect with gravity from this point. Therefore, less weights theoretically, and it will balance better. And that's what I actually found in reality, is that it did balance well. Before I took the barreled action out of the MPABA comp, it weighed 19 pounds, 3 ounces without the bipod, and it was still kind of rear heavy. I weighed it now in its final configuration here without the bipod, and it came out to 18 pounds, 14 ounces. So it's about half a pound, nearly half a pound less in weight, and yet it balances better than the MPA V8 comp. So that being said, that's kind of the reason why I wanted to buy this chassis system. But let's dive into like what I really like about it, other than the fact that it balances well. One, it's got great fit and finish. It appears like they did a good job. It demonstrates that this is their flagship chassis line. Everything's cut well, machined well. The finish is great. Attention to hardware. They have set screws in some of these parts of the buttstock, but the set screws have brass tips. A lot of people use set screws, but they're just alloy steel, and they just, you know, put the set screw in, you're done, right? And you can mar up whatever you're putting that set screw into, but here they use brass tip set screws so that you're not going to mar up the chassis, which is a great thought. The adjustments for the buttstock, they're spring-loaded knobs, so I can hit that knob and move my cheek riser up and down. I could hit this knob, press in the knob, and I can move the leg to pull back and fore and aft. Really good design there. The hardware is well done there. So I do like the fit and finish. Now, as far as the adjustments in the buttstock, I think it's really good. It's gonna be easy to adjust for any shooter on the fly. The butt plate can move up and down, which I can't really demonstrate right now because it is tightened in. I don't want to take the time to just loosen it up, but you can move the butt plate up and down, which is kind of a feature that's not really seen in a lot of chassis. I'm going to actually move it up a little bit just for like prone shooting and stuff, and kind of, I think it's going to be a good idea just to move it up a little bit for the way I shoot. But that being said, you can also move the cheek riser fore and aft as well, but I think I like it where it's at right now. Magazine, or sorry, the grip, I have it move front forward for my smaller hands, so I have a good reach for the trigger. The magwell is adjustable, of course, which is kind of key for many things here. I have it tuned to accept both polymer and billet aluminum mags for my Voodoo, and with the billet mags, any move or any pressure or move, you know, pressing on the mag or any pressure either way does not affect feeding. However, with the polymer mag, it does. Polymer mag, if I put forward pressure on the magazine, it will affect it, so it won't feed very well. It'll jam up trying to close the bolt. So MDT tried to solve this problem by putting these cuts into the inside of the magwell to accept these dowel rods, these small plastic dowel rods. The point of that was that you can actually create more tension or pressure. It'll kind of shrink up the magwell a little bit on those sections so that it prevents that rocking action. I tried it and it didn't work. I put 2 on the front and it still causes the polymer mag still has movement, and therefore when you try to close the bolt, it'll still jam up. And with those plastic dowel rods, the polymer dowel rods, when I try to put in my billet mag, it wouldn't even fit. So I just didn't bother to use them. I tried them, they don't work. That being said, you can probably adjust the magwell or the magazine release to tuck the polymer mag higher up in the action just a little bit more, and maybe that'll help it. But if I do that, then I won't be able to use my billet mag, because the mag release on the billet mag's a little bit slightly, I think, lower, I think. So if I try to do that, then, like, again, if I try to tune it for the polymer mag, I won't be able to use my billet mags. So that's why I do have this magazine, sorry, the barricade stop here that sits right here on the arc rail. This is an optional thing that I would never use normally. This is the Gray Ops barricade stop, and the reason why I have it here is just to demonstrate, hey, you might want to get one of these in the event that you do have problems with the magazine, that you can prevent any sort of bag pressure from hitting this mag, that you have at least have that stop there so it won't affect your feeding. Centerfire rifles won't really have that problem, generally speaking. I know that some people do with the smaller cartridges, like the smaller 6mm cases, but generally I find that you don't really need to tune the mag that much, but I could be wrong. I never had problems with 6mm. Now, as far as other things on here, again, the weight system I do like. With the interior weights, they work well. The fact that I could put up to 5 or 6, I think, but I only have 3 furthest forward on the forend. I do have 2 external weights on M-LOK. Got a lot of M-LOK slots here. And so that works well for me. I do like the feel of it. Overall, when I'm using this chassis system, it seems to fit me well. I have no issues with it. As far as other things I like, the adjustability, there's really not much else here to say. It's a really good, well-designed chassis. Let's talk about a few criticisms I have of this chassis. I talked about the magazine well. It's not really too much of a criticism. It's just the nuance you have to deal with any chassis system. The interior weights I do like, but however, the fact that you have to take the barrel action out was a disappointment. The original ACC, you could put the interior weights without taking out the barrel action, because they have this end cap here that was removable, but on the Elite it's not. So you do have to take out the barrel action if you want to keep adjusting it. So it does take some time, because you're going to take it out, add weights. Do you like it? No. Then take it out, add more weights or remove, and then put it back in and keep retrying. So that's kind of disappointment there. The only other real criticism I do have is kind of the price. So the price is up there. I believe, but retail is like $1,600. I didn't pay that, which is good. However, that $1,600 price doesn't take into account all the other add-ons you're going to probably put in here. So, the weights, one thing. The weight system, the interior weights, I think I can't remember, but there's well over $100 for the interior weights, and you got to buy a pack of 5 or 6. Then on top of that, you're going to add on M-LOK weights. These are not MDTs, these are from Gray Ops, so I did get these, but you're going to add more money there. These control bridges are optional. They don't come with the chassis. You can run a bare top chassis system, but the reason why you kind of want something here is to help with barrel mirage, I think. And you don't want barrel mirage, the heat coming off the barrel and affecting your image on your scope. And that's why I feel like you want something here. And those control bridges, they only fit, like, as you can see here, I have 2. If you can see that segment here, it's only like 3 inches or so. So you may need several depending on how your rifle's set up. If my scope were further back, I might need 3, but I have 2, and those are pricey as well. Any other add-ons you might want to get, they all cost more money, like the weights for the buttstock. You can put weights in the buttstock because this is skeletonized. As you can see here, you can add more weights there. So there is a lot of money that you're going to end up spending, which increases the cost significantly from the initial buy-in. But other than that, do I recommend this chassis system? I think it's a good chassis. I would say that's probably the most ideal chassis system for a short-barreled rimfire in a full-size, like 700 pattern action or inlet. I don't think you're going to have a good job. You're going to have a good experience trying to balance a 20-inch or shorter barrel action that's rimfire into any other chassis other than something like the MDT ACC with a long forend. This just gives you that capability. And that's why I really recommend this. Now for centerfire, would I say, do you need this? Or should you get this over another chassis? It's hard to say. I think you really need to try it out for yourself. If you feel the feature set is good for you compared to other chassis, then go for it. But I feel like there's nothing here that would sway me to buy this specifically for a centerfire application. It's a lot of good features here, but I think other chassis from KRG and MPA also offer a lot. So there really isn't anything compelling here. I will say that though, for me, I do like the short length of pull because a lot of chassis out there only go as low as 13. Then you have to do something like do the modification to get it down below 13. But for me, because I'm shorter, I do appreciate the fact that MDT thought about, shorter statured folks and made the length of pull actually down to 12 1/4. 12 would have been ideal, I think, a little bit better for even younger shooters, but 12 1/4 would work. Anyway, I have an article on this chassis written up on my blog, so go ahead and check that out. I'll put the link in the video description. If you have questions or comments about this, definitely reach out to me. There's plenty of other reviews out there on this chassis, and MDT has a full-on video discussing all the features of this thing. So definitely check that out. But I just wanted to give you my perspective on the ACC Elite and why I bought it and why I think it's a pretty good chassis.